Welcome back, Power Ranger fans and anybody that's on the internet listening to our podcast. This will be the first podcast about Power Rangers Summary, Episode 1.
Mighty Morphin is probably the only season the mainstream public even knows about.
It's a popular one.
But is it even the best season? I mean, everybody treats Mighty Morphin as like the greatest thing ever.
Well, I feel like the Power Rangers, it's different with everybody. Because some people that were introduced to Zeo first like Zeo more, and I feel for my generation, because I was around since the beginning, Mighty Morphin means a lot to me.
I mean, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie was my introduction, so Mighty Morphin does play a huge part of my ideal Power Rangers, but I was more in the Lost Galaxy Lightspeed era.
Yes. So, if any of you enjoy listening to our podcast, please subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. Alright, so the first part of this timeline we're going to talk about is Power Rangers aired in
1993.
1993.
And this is the only Power Ranger season to last 3 years. Like, we have the super seasons now, but this is like because they were afraid to change the costumes on when the show started. Because in Sentai, it's like each year there's a new Ranger team. Here, they didn't want to risk losing the fan base.
Right. And the first season, mostly up into Tommy's introduction, was about the 5 core Rangers struggling with their powers and battling Rita with her monsters.
Well, there was barely any plot before Tommy, because I feel like the highlights of Mighty Morphin are anything that involves Tommy Oliver and the Green Ranger powers.
I think it was a lot of it is building up to his character throughout the 3 seasons.
Here's my thing: Mighty Morphin has the best characters, not the best stories.
The thing I look at, it's almost like it's Tommy's like the Anakin of Anakin Skywalker of Power Rangers.
Yeah. The others are just supporting characters.
There for the ride.
And they don't get paid as much.
He started out in Green with Evil, which was a 5-part miniseries.
You were around when that started. Was it like each episode every night or every Saturday morning, or
They did it episodes, like episodes, and even when the tapes came out, they did it the same way the tapes were.
Well, you were around when Green with Evil first aired. How do you remember that being advertised? Like, was that like a big deal?
It was a big deal because that other than they had a few of the other episodes made into VHS tapes. That was actually a main. You could buy all the VHS tapes.
Growing up, I had all 5 episodes on VHS, and I wore them out because I watched it so much.
I liked it a lot because I always liked villain characters more. So I loved when and the fact that I was a huge Godzilla fan before Power Rangers.
Oh yeah, I feel like unless you were a kid in the 90s, a lot of the franchise really appeals to the Godzilla Tokusatsu fan base because it's basically Power Rangers is basically Saved by the Bell, but with Godzilla stock footage put in between it.
That's a good comparison because Superhuman Samurai was a lot like Saved by the Bell, and it's in the same funny fact to everybody listening to this. It's in the same high school as Boy Meets World.
Oh,
Superhuman
really?
Samurai.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Same high school.
Wait, is Superhuman Samurai, that was produced by Deke, right?
I think so.
It's so weird that Saban wasn't involved.
It's more different than his other shows too. It's the way they did Superhuman Samurai.
Yeah.
All right. So Tommy lost his power with the green candle. Then they brought him back.
Well, you see, the reason why they brought him back was because Tommy was so cool and popular. There were kids who locked themselves in their rooms, refused to eat, refused to go to school. See, getting rid of Tommy was a huge controversy in the Power Ranger fandom because at this time they were all like 7-year-old kids and younger people.
Yeah, they were young.
And Tommy was like the big hero to them, and seeing this guy basically leave their show.
Well, the one thing I have that I always have controversy with always have conversations and kind of a little bit disagreements with other Ranger fans is the fact that I view Tommy as a loner. He eventually he earned his spot to become a lot of the team, but if you remember in the first episodes, he was always training alone.
there's more Tommy footage out on his own rather than with the Rangers.
Yeah.
That's why we need like a Netflix show or something where it's just Tommy.
And okay, so then they brought him back because of that with Return of an Old Friend.
But there wasn't any Green Ranger footage left, so they had to adapt Die Ranger, which was another Super Sentai series, which they brought in the White Ranger costume from that, and it fit in pretty well with the Zoo Ranger costumes, but it didn't look like a Mighty Morphin costume.
Yeah, but that's not where we're getting up to, because the first part, one part I wanted to talk about was the fact that when he came back, they had to make more footage up, so they did more American one when he was like saving when he got the coins and all the Rangers combined gave him energy.
Oh yeah, because there was Jason got the Dragon Shield.
Yeah, and
for a while, and also Tommy wasn't going to come back. Tommy was Jason David Frank, the actor. He was going to have his own show called Cybertron, which developed the VR Troopers.
Yup. And it's funny because the fact that they switched places. The guy who played Ryan Steele.
The guy who played Ryan Steele from VR Troopers was going to play the White Ranger, but it basically got switched.
So now, going into season 2, Tommy. It's pretty much about Tommy's struggle between dark and light, and him struggling to almost losing his powers. Pretty much all the episodes are.
I feel like season 2 was an improvement on the series. Like. Lord Zedd was a really good villain.
One thing I have to mention too, when they introduced Lord Zedd, the best part I liked about it, it's almost like the 25th anniversary special that they aired it at night.
Yeah.
As almost like a two-parter. See, they didn't do this with the anniversary special because it's just one episode, but it's two-part. It was an hour episode at night.
Yeah. Wasn't it called like The Mutiny or something like that?
And I stayed up trying to get on the I stayed up at night and watched the episode, and they had a thing during the commercial that you could have called up to become on the We're in Trouble music video for Power Rangers the movie.
That is awesome.
And I tried to get on the music video, and I kept calling this number. So that was a cool thing.
And Lord Zedd was all the villains have been like Japanese stock footage. Lord Zedd was the first original creation for Power Rangers.
Big shout out to Robert Axelrod. I hope he's doing a lot better.
Oh yeah,
he's under the weather.
Been having problems lately.
Yeah, so I hope he's doing better.
Imagine how much better the 25th anniversary special would be if Lord Zedd was the villain.
Yes, that would have been awesome. I always loved Lord Zedd. So then after that, he starts doing kind of the similar thing as Rita with his monsters and stuff.
He presented himself as a much bigger threat, but after a few episodes, he's just another Rita Repulsa.
And they got new Zords, which were really cool. The Thunder Zords.
Oh yeah,
I love the Thunder Zords.
Because were the Zords destroyed in season 1, or how did that work?
Yeah. Okay. So the Zords weren't strong enough.
Okay, because they had the. Because it was like they would summon their Zords, but then say Thunder Power, then the Zords will evolve into
change.
Yeah. But,
yep.
Oh, also, interesting fact about the translation between Sentai and Power Rangers is we have the Griffin Thunder Zord in America, but in Japan it was a Pegasus. So we basically have a giant robot horse called a Griffin.
That's one thing. You pointed that out, and I never thought about it. I was like, that's really, really funny. The fact that they did that. But and the other thing too is that they didn't switch the suits because the kids that were watching the show at the time liked the original suits so much.
Yeah, that's why, because the White Ranger was part of the Japanese series. That's why he looked so different.
Yep. And then moving forward, then throughout the episodes, Tommy eventually comes back as the White Ranger. With White Light, and that was another two-parter, and that was really cool. That's when they kind of started switching between both. They started using other stock footage from another Power Ranger group.
Yeah, then that's what established that Rita Repulsa was still alive, because that episode featured her dumpster returning to Earth.
Yep. And so then they do the wedding, which is a really cool episode where Rita marries Lord Zedd, and then
it's actually pretty messed up when you think of how the marriage worked, because she basically performs a magical spell on a guy who's not even attracted to her, and then marries him.
Well, yeah.
Kids, don't be like Rita Repulsa. Ask for consent.
And yeah, she so that's really cool. When they with that part, so they just kind of like a joint of forces.
Also, apparently, I don't know if
What?
this is. I know this was true, but apparently Lord Zedd was. There were like parents who thought he was too intimidating, so they wanted to tone him down when Rita came in. So they wanted to make them like a bickering married couple. So this evil
Yeah.
demonic guy isn't as scary to kids.
That was kind of weird. I like one of my favorite things with Lord Zed was that he goes on his throne and then it turns around. I
See,
thought that was cool.
Lord Zedd was awesome when he was more menacing. I feel like they made him too comedic. Like,
Hmm.
even in, like, there's the big moment of the show when Lord Zedd is in the command center. That could have been such a cool moment, but this was when he was toned down and
Uh huh.
he's joking and...
Um, but that yeah, then the three of the Rangers, Zach, Trini, and Jason end up becoming what are they? They're
There was
called
like
ambassadors
there
to
was like a...
Australia.
You see, the reason was the actors quit the show because they weren't getting paid enough, so they had to, like, replace them with a new cast of characters, so they wrote them off the show to introduce
Mm-hmm.
Adam, Aisha, and Rocky.
Yep. And so then they came into it, which was kind of funny. One thing I always said is, I said this later on recently, is why didn't they lose their powers? Because Zordon told them if you reveal your identities to anybody, you'll lose your powers. Rocky, Adam, and Aisha learned their identities when they weren't Rangers yet.
That could have been a plot point. That could have been how their power transfer worked.
Yeah, so then we got up to the power transfer, which is the big pinnacle part of that season 2. And nothing too much happens after this. Do you think of anything else?
No, not really. I mean, really, the new Rangers, they didn't really play that big of a role until later on. Like,
season 3 is when they got kind of bigger.
It was weird because they barely did anything with them being new recruits. They just made it like they've been here for this whole time.
Yeah, that's why they did that movie, to make like, oh, they've been here, but then it comes on that that's another timeline. It's not part of.
You see, I kind of wish
that the series.
I wish the movie did like make it so like they're Tommy, Kimberly, and Billy are the only Rangers, and then they have to recruit the new Rangers when Ivan Ooze shows up.
Yep. Okay, so now in season 3, pretty much Rita's brother Rito, which I love Rito. Big shout out to Danny that played. He was one of the stuntmen that played Rito. And I met him when I was at Power Morphagon. He was really, really awesome. He taught me how to be Rito because I'm going to be cosplaying him soon. So he comes into it and he defeats the Rangers.
Yeah, because Rito Revolto is the one who destroyed the Thunder Megazord.
Yup, he defeats the Rangers for his sister Rita. And
also, why is Rito like a human-looking character, but Rito is a skeleton guy? Are they the same species or?
She's adopted. I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I'm thinking it's something like, look at with Corone and in space with what's her name, why is my mind blanking?
Kendricks.
No, not Kendricks.
No,
and not Andromeda. What's her name?
Astronema.
Astronema. I kept saying and thinking of Andromeda.
Well, they're they're the same character, so.
Yeah, Astronema, Corone. She is adopted. That's why she looks like the way she is. Everybody else is. Also, she's this beautiful princess.
Also, Divatox's nephew is Elgar. I do not want to know how that worked.
That's kind of strange. But okay, so then season 3 is the ninja powers, and they search for the ninja powers on this ninja quest, and they find ninja.
You see, the weird thing about season 3 is, by this point they've used up all the Die Ranger and Zoo Ranger footage, and they weren't switching the costumes, so most of the stuff was filmed with original footage, and Saban didn't have that big of a budget, so it looked kind of weird. They were always in the same park location that they filmed in.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just something off about the original footage at the time, for whatever reason. It's very noticeable that it's a different filming location and crew.
Yup. So then they get the ninja powers, which I think they're never given that much credit. And I was thinking about them as we were talking about the timeline.
I'm a frog.
I think it's great because like the ape is almost like King Kong in a way, like the red ape.
If you look at the figure of the ape sword, it doesn't even look like an ape. It looks like Abraham Lincoln or just some guy with a beard.
But and then they have the bear, which is really great.
My favorite is the frog sword.
The frog is really cool because frogs are, and I told this to a lot of my friends that are cosplayers and stuff, that frogs are really, really mystical and strong in Japan in Asia. So you look at Naruto.
So frogs can perform alchemy.
Yeah, so they're really strong. So
don't mess with frogs; they'll use their evil witchcraft on you.
Which I heard that Billy was supposed to be the frog.
Oh, really?
And they switched them. Yes, I heard this from a couple of my friends.
Now I'm matching David Yost.
But David Yost didn't want to be the frog. They gave it to somebody that was there longer, so they switched the wolf and the frog. That's what I heard.
I'm a wolf.
So it just because they gave the cool Zord to someone that was there longer. That's what I heard.
Sometime when I meet Johnny and Bosch again, I'm gonna ask. I normally don't ask actors to say their line, but we all know his famous "I'm a frog" line. But what about? See, in the next season, he's a square, so I'm a square. Then the season after that, he's a minivan. I'm a minivan.
He wanted to say that in the movie, but the director wouldn't let him. I was listening to a Q&A by him.
For Turbo?
For Turbo, the movie.
The Turbo movie, like, a large amount of the film was deleted and reshot, and...
I know the director said, Johnny, you're not a funny guy. No, you don't be funny. You're not a funny guy.
What, you don't want him to have actual character to him?
Nope.
we need more time for Tommy.
You're not a funny guy.
Because Tommy's the cool one.
That's enough Tommy hate, because I love Tommy.
Loser.
Okay, so then we have, after they lose their powers again, and Lord Vile, Rita's father, rewinds time.
Okay, so Rita Repulsa's father is this,
He's a time wizard.
Master Vile and Rita, they all look completely different, so how does that family biology work?
I don't know. But I think the biggest point of the whole entire series before the total erase time and everything, was that part when Lord Zedd went into the command center. That could have been such a crazy part because the villain is literally in front of you.
You see, it was cool, but if it was the more intimidating evil Lord Zedd, it would have been so much cooler. But it was still cool for what it was, and we got to see White Ranger battle Lord Zedd for the first time.
That was cool. I like when Lord Zedd goes like, "You want to do those hayas? Like, come at me, ha ya, But so then when he races time, they become little kids again, which I don't get that either, because Cat should have became a cat. She doesn't have a past.
We don't even know much about Cat as a character, because it's so weird, because she comes in as a cat that got possessed by Rita or something like that, and that could turn into human. So was she human before that? Was she always a cat character thing?
So the aliens... Rangers of Aquatar come to help them because Zordon sends out a distress beacon to them. And they come and help them. They don't understand Earth's customs, so pretty much this in-between season is about them understanding that we eat ice cream. There was one episode about them understanding ice cream.
See, what happened is Mighty Morphin is 3 seasons, but then like in between Mighty Morphin and Zeo, there's like a 10-episode miniseries called Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, which follows this new team of Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then...
And I don't think... Wait, name all the Alien Rangers and tell me all of the iconic, memorable things they've ever done.
What I did like about them, though, is that they could control their Zords on the ground.
Yes, but think of all
that was cool.
Think of all the amazing character development and their iconic names, and I only remember Orko and maybe the White Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
No one... the Alien Rangers barely got any development, and they were just there to use Japanese stock footage.
And then Billy becomes his older self.
Yeah, because...
in that season.
Because I feel like they were trying to... Because that was when David Yost wanted to start trying to leave the show, so I feel like they were trying to, like, end his character arc.
Yeah, maybe. So then he gets older. They eventually go back to their full age after them going on a quest to find the Zeo crystal.
And there's a subplot where Rito, Revolto, and Goldar are underneath the command center, like getting lost in the hallways underneath the command center because they're trying to plant a bomb to blow up the command center.
And they actually succeed, and that's right when everything becomes the Zeo Rangers.
Yeah.
And that's right when they get the power. How does that make sense? They succeed right as they get their power, as the power gets formed, the Zeo crystal.
Also, what if the series ended and we never got Zeo? The series would literally have ended with the command center and possibly Zordon blowing up and dying.
One thing I love is that Bulk and Skull the Rangers would have died. They actually saved them.
I think Bulk and Skull are the most well-written characters in the Mighty Morphin, because we see them go from the stereotypical high school bullies to police officers.
Yeah, they're really good. So then that's just when Zeo quests. That's when the Zeo powers comes, and they start to learn how to use that, and that's the end of this episode.
Mighty Morphin was a good season for the time, but it doesn't hold up well with today's standards.
I think it's good written. I think there's just a lot of fillers in it. Yeah, so that's our last quest. The next episode we will do is going to be all about Zeo, and you will learn about a magical arrowhead. Later. Bye.
Bye.